Welcome to the Hunt Test Hobo Podcast, your place for truckside chats and insights into the retriever game. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned handler, this podcast is another resource for tips, tricks, and insights from both the amateurs and professional trainers' perspectives. Each week, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of retriever training, sharing stories of success, overcoming challenges, and forging stronger bonds with our dogs. This is the Hunt Test Hobo Podcast. I'm Chris Rudd, your host, fellow retriever enthusiast, and student of the game. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of the Hunt Test Hobo Podcast. I think everybody should be having a great week because the weather has come down. We are recording this on September 1, which means it's dove, an early goose opener. Some of my friends sent me some good photos of them having some geese pile pics, which I will not be seeing any in my phone from myself because I don't have any geese, but people are blasting geese. I'm sure some people up north and maybe south and east and west are getting on the teal, but hunting season is approaching, which makes me feel really good. I'm joined today by my two bestest of friends. Is that even a word? Not really. No, you guys are just looking at me like, will you please get through this intro so we can talk? I got Mr. Dan Ihrke and Tyler Brenner here. I'm hanging out at the Green Acres facility, Green Acres Sportsman's Club this weekend, I should say. Dan and I were doing a bunch of filming for Retriever Foundations. It was a lot of fun. But then we tried to shoot some doves, but I got to call Tyler out. So we're trying to all get set up, figure out where, like, I don't know, there's like 10 of us, 15 of us, I don't know, something like that. And Tyler jumps on an ATV, puts his gun on, and drives
legally in a case.
In a case. Yeah, no, there's nothing illegal happened here, okay, except for hunting etiquette. Maybe some hunting etiquette was abused.
Be better.
So Tyler, he gets on the ATV. He drives to a place he's been like protecting for weeks now that he's been seeing doves at. I don't actually know if that part's true, but he drives over. He gets out and he sees a tree, and there's 7 doves in a tree.
No,
and
there was more than that.
There's a lot of doves in a tree. He just starts
the only 20 doves on our whole property.
He just starts blasting. He shoots 7 doves before anybody else even gets to their spots. And I think we had a grand total with all the other guys, probably 7 doves.
No, I think it was maybe 10.
Maybe 10.
Yeah,
it was pretty lame.
Classic pattern behavior.
And good old Tyler Brenner then says, "Hey guys, you need to get over here." So Dan and I go over there, and we sat for 45 seconds at the other spot, and then we couldn't resist Tyler telling us, I got the mother load. So
I'm on the X.
He's on the X. So we go over there, and Dan and I are standing there, and I think after 2 hours, we saw 2 doves.
No, there was 5.
Okay, 5 doves. Really.
And you guys totally missed 3 of them.
Well, I have to admit. So Tyler says, "Hey, face this way." So I'm facing this way, which is opposite of where he shot everything, I think. I don't know if that's true or not. So I'm facing the other way, and he goes, "Hey, there goes one." And he literally is looking behind me. Like I'm supposed to look behind me.
Chris looked like a seasoned dog at a test when he shouldn't be there. What? The guy's literally walking 7 yards to the right trying to cast the dog. The dog's turning around. I didn't see that.
Hey, if you want to be on a more podcast, get your face against that microphone.
Okay, Chris.
I'm just giving you guys a hard time. I'm just going to be the one that sounds really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get too deep into this, hey, happy hunting season for those that are partaking in the September 1 festivities across the country. And hope your dogs are all staying cool and you're not taking your first time dog on a good old dove
massacre.
Dove massacre. Maybe you are. Maybe it's just you and one. I don't know. I've taken my first dog on dove hunts and it's never went well. But for their first hunt. But hey, if you are, just make sure they're staying cool. Have at it. It's America. Do what you want. Well, before we go too deep into this, let's thank our sponsors, Purina Pro Plan, fed by both myself and Dan and Tyler. We all feed Purina Pro Plan. Thank you for all that they're doing. And also, they are now, I think, sponsoring every dog sport, every retriever sport, because now they're sponsoring the SRS. So if you heard that on the SRS podcast, I was like, yep, there it is. They have it all the sponsorships. So, and I say that because it's really cool that they do so much for our sport and invest so much to make sure that, there's good food out there for all of our dogs that are out there competing. So, sponsorship number 2. Want to thank the Hunt Test Guide. I talked with Clark for a while we were shooting doves. When I say shooting doves, waiting for the doves to come that we never actually shot at. They're doing great stuff. He's posting setups at least a couple setups every week of what he's doing to get ready for the Grand, SRS, and the Master National. So if you're looking for new setup ideas, check out what Clark and Lyle have going on at the Hunt Test Guide. And then Retriever Foundations, Dan and my little endeavor where we're trying to bring you guys the best content to do foundational work with your retriever. We got the puppy course out there, which has been like crushing it. I mean, I don't mean crushing it in sales. I mean, we've had some sales. It's been good, but the feedback that I'm getting makes me feel like, all right, filming all 192 videos was worth it. We put a lot of time into making sure that we covered as much detail as we can. We showed a lot of micro sessions, a lot of, repeating things so that people got the right cadence for training. And it really, like from what I'm hearing, people are really, really enjoying it. There's one guy who's literally watched all 192 videos already.
Wow.
And I'm like, how did you do that? And he's like,
he dove in.
No, I had nothing going on at work.
There you go. So he got paid to watch.
He got paid to watch those videos. Yeah. But he said, man, like this program has filled so many little gaps in his understanding, things that he had been missing with his puppy program. And he said, like, what was exactly what he said? He said something along the lines of, I see problems that I have in my current dog that would have been fixed if I would have went through some of the things that Dan, you taught in that course. So anyway, I want to thank ourselves. That's kind of weird, but thanks for sponsoring the podcast.
You're welcome, us.
Yeah, welcome us. But anyway, that is one of the best ways you can support the podcast. If you plan to have a puppy in the next 5 years, buy that course because it'll really help us out and it'll help you in your understanding of the dogs. And Dan and I spent all day yesterday on the force fetch table showing a bunch of different dogs, all the process or all the steps in force fetch. And the thing that I love, and I'm like tooting our own horn here, but really it's tooting your horn because I'm not like this. I'm a spazzy squirrel. But the amount of like little tiny, like not micro sessions, like micro sessions are important, but the micro steps that you talk about in every single part of this that makes that learning ladder for that dog so small. And Hillman said something in the podcast I did with him. He said, training should feel effortless. And what I understood what he meant, but I see you doing that in your program where the dog barely is learning anything, but it's just such a small little progression that by the end of that thing, they're like, it's done. They get it. And there wasn't a bunch of massive battles. And a lot of times when I see massive battles, it's because steps were missed or you moved too fast and that learning ladder wasn't there. So anyway, I'm just like really like thinking about that because I watched you for hours and hours yesterday going through that. And it was good. That was the thing that I kind of walked away with. But before that, I did my first hunt test last week. That was last week, right?
A little bit more. I think 2 weeks, but
was it 2 weeks?
I don't know.
No, it was last week.
Last week.
It was last week.
Time is a blur to dog trainers.
But we had our first. Well, my first hunt test is probably like your guy. Tyler's been on the road for however long. How long have you been on the road now?
I'm done.
Tyler's been.
I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to stay home.
And the Grand is coming.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I thought about running a queue.
PTSD there.
I thought about running a queue, and then I decided the other day, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, you're just, you need to hang out with your little bit new baby, so that's good. But my point was, it was my first hunt test of the year. And it was one of the, I don't know, maybe it's just like, I'm getting older. I've ran a lot of hunt tests, but it was just really fun. There was like zero stress.
There were two great tests.
Yeah, we ran.
I had no complaints at all. They had meat. They weren't gimmies. They were totally fair.
Yep.
They were just good tests.
They were set up so if you didn't do your work, your dog was going to take itself out, which is the way they should be set up. So the judges don't have to make these on edge judgment calls and get people upset with them. It was just set up to be fair, plenty of meat. If your dog wasn't ready, it wasn't going to make it. If your dog was ready, it was going to do the work and make it. So beautiful.
And we had a good weekend too. You know, we went.
Oh! Everybody make fun of the guy that didn't turn off his phone when we started the podcast. He's like, crap, I got to take it. No. And by the way, that if you're listening, that was Dan.
Yeah, I'm running a hunting preserve that has a dove shoot right now. That was my biggest client right there. So,
okay, fine. Make us feel bad, Dan. Yeah. Sorry. Oh man, yeah. Well, Tyler, you were saying about the tests. Do you remember?
Yeah,
what you were saying?
we had a good time. Our dogs did well. We went 100%, except I roped one of my dogs at the very end. My last dog in the second series on Sunday, she crept a little bit, and I roped her, and that is obviously not fun to do. But you know, she's got one grand pass already, and she could easily pass again, and she has her whole career ahead of her. So, what led to that? What do you think led to that? The fact that you had to, because I mean, that dog's a combination of running a lot of tests with her. You know, I ran a lot of tests with that dog, but she is the kind of dog that needs that kind of line time and experience. You know, she's I don't want to say softer female, but she's a very thoughtful dog, and she needs a lot of experience in new places to go out and have fun and not necessarily think as much, just go out there and pick ducks up. In addition to that, you know, it would look like a hunt. It was a very hunt-like setup. You couldn't see any of the hides. Or I think you could see one, but it was a very hunting-like test. There was quite a few decoys out. It didn't look technical, and she was just all about it.
Was this the land setup that you roped her on?
Now she moved a little bit on the water.
I was going to ask you, did you see signs leading up to it?
Yes, totally. So the second bird comes out on the water test that morning on Sunday, and she took a little hop when that second winger went off. I'm like, whoa, okay. You know, we're going to do something here. And she never crept out in front, but she took like a side step. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the first time I've done that with that in particular dog. And it obviously paid big because I didn't have a problem this weekend at my master test.
Oh, so you did run it the next week. Yeah.
And she didn't move a muscle all three series of that master.
So what did you do when you roped her? So like, do you say anything? Because like, I remember the only time I ever roped a dog is I was like so mad that I didn't do anything. I just grabbed the dog and walked off. And I'm pretty sure the dog didn't he thought it was like a no bird or something.
I didn't say, so first of all, I didn't nag the dog as she crept out there. I didn't go sit in between every bird. She knows better than that. You know, with our program, they obviously understand solid steadiness. I'm not going to sit here and remind this dog. She knows that. She crept probably 3 foot in front of me. And when then the third bird went off, I knew she wasn't going to go, but she had moved out there. So I shucked the gun, put it down. I said, sit, kind of sternly, and put the lead on her and said, no, sit. And I walked off the line. Said, thanks, guys, with a big smile, because I just got a lesson in that moment that I can't recreate at home. That dog will not do it in training. She hasn't, you know? So, like, it's all about perspective, right? Some people are like, oh, that stinks. That dog failed. I'm like, I'm glad that happened here and not October 18th or whatever the grand is, you know? And that's her last HRC test before the grand. So,
yep. I was thinking about kind of lessons that I learned. I feel like I channeled my inner Clark Kennington, as I say it, because Clark always is telling me about all these little tiny things he does at the line, like, oh, I shifted this way, and all of a sudden all my dogs got it. And I believe him, but I also don't really understand it enough to believe him, if that makes sense. Like, does that really work? But I mean, I trust that he believes it works. And so maybe it does work. I don't know. If he's listening to this, he's going to call me and be like, what are you talking? Anyway, I decided at the last minute, because I thought I had a free entry, because Dan called me and said, hey, I got a scratch a dog. You want to run him in place? And I was like, sure, no problem. I'll run Winter. She was like 2 weeks off of having puppies or nursing puppies. So we had been training for about a week and a half, and I ran a really grandy HRC water blind with her. and she just did perfect. Like, I was like, all right, so she's in a good groove. She's not cheating on me too much or nothing. Like, didn't know how much I had to do. But like, she hasn't trained in 4 months. And we had this I've been thinking about this mark. It was a great mark, but it was actually, we ran from the opposite way that the Grand ran at this, but it had like the winger was like almost in the same spot, right? But it shot into that.
The winger was in the same spot, but
it shot a little bit further.
Yeah. We went 2 Grands ago. It was in the same place and we were facing the same way. Yeah. Literally, they had used that same mark.
So it was a really cool mark, but I think that mark had to land 50 to 60 yards away from where the winger was.
It's a long throw.
It was big. They had one of those super duper wingers. I don't know. I don't remember what brand it was, but it was one of those super duper wingers. And the way the wind was going and everything, they launched it across the road and into like this corner. It was like a really long rolling cheaty single or cheat mark was what it was. And it was gravel all along the side. There was no vegetation. And it was the second bird I attempted to pick up. And Winter doesn't normally cheat at all. She is a very straight running dog. But
I was recording this on my phone.
We might actually post this because it was just so funny. I think we might. We should because he put some pretty funny.
I put like 6 different songs to it.
Oh my goodness!
I got laughs out of this for like a week.
It was and like this is what I mean about like getting to the point where I'm just like enjoying the hunt test. It was really fun because she did it and I didn't have
Winter ran the entire shore.
Like, and it wasn't
all
even
the shore we had was ran.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a decision.
It was like she was just saying, "Look, I'm retired."
Yeah, that's what.
So you know what? I've got 100% full right to run the shoreline, and so there's no doubt. I'm not even going to look down the shoreline and lie. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, she was moving so fast.
She knew where the bird was.
And those boobies were like swinging as she was running, and she was cooking, and she was so fast, and it happened so fast, and I didn't expect it, and this was like just me totally unprepared. I didn't have my whistle anywhere near my and it happened so fast. I just stood there and went, there's nothing I can do. There's no way I'm stopping this. It was so fast. And I remember I just turned around and put the other duck in the bucket and Tyler just looked at me and I was like, don't even, I could just feel his eyes looking at me. And I was just like, whatever. And she, to the point of the story, she totally cheated this thing. And it was like, I mean, it was a cheating mark, but she should have went straight. Like there wasn't even like a thought process in my mind that she was going to do this because there was plenty of water for her to hit. Like she really went out of her way. And so then I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking like, okay, that was Saturday. I'm going to Sunday. I'm like, do I run her or not? And we walk up to the test. And there's another left-hand cheating single in the video. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I was like, what do I do? And I literally sat there when it was all happening. I just sat there and was like, what am I going to do if she cheats? Like, am I going to handle her? What am I going to do? And I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to handle her. So I had decided and I was all ready. And I also said like, what can I do to put discipline in her? And so I was like, she needs to be more disciplined. Like there's times where you want the dog to feel really loose and comfortable and just know where the bird is. And there's times where you want discipline. And I remember a phone call I had with Clark where the field trial trainer that's training Fang was putting discipline on the dog by sitting over top of him and saying sit like a lot and very sternly saying sit and getting like on top of the dog. So I like bent down really low to where I was like 3 inches from Winter's ear. I go, sit down, sit. And I just watched her ears go, ping, just ping back. And I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And I said her name and she went so straight to that bird because I think she thought she's like, he's going to kill me.
She was an autopilot the first day.
Yeah. And so I was just like Winter, like not even thinking about it. Cause I mean, it was a good test, but it wasn't terribly hard.
Yeah.
And she showed me that she was, in like, I'm doing what I want. But my point is, so the whole thing is that I feel like I learned something that moment that, you know, I wasn't intimidating the dog. Well, was I intimidating the dog? Would you call that intimidation? Maybe. It's borderline.
That's a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But
the judges didn't say anything.
I mean, you said the word sit, you said it sternly, but in the spectrum of what I've actually heard at Hunt Test, which like a loud one sounds more like sit. I think it was just fine.
Can you say no here real quick? Can you do that one?
No.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite. Ready? No here. Yeah, that's my favorite. And I've seen actually people at that volume get away with a ribbon.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
But I guess
I've also seen somebody that said something of the same accord that got basically dinged or taken out for disqualified, I should say, for intimidation. So it's subjective.
Yeah. I mean, I just said sit very, very intensely.
You're out.
But I wasn't loud about it.
You're out.
I just said it right into her ear.
Oh, you're going to sit.
I think we're going to sit down.
I don't think you're going down that shoreline, girl.
And anyway, I just felt like that was a little lesson that I learned that I think that, channeling your inner Clark and being very direct right there. And hey, if that helps somebody down the line, but I think the point is that I saw her ears go back and that's the thing that I think was important is I actually watched her character change.
Yes,
because of that.
There are so many little things that we do. If you sit there at the Grand and you watch handler after handler, you'll watch the experienced ones and the inexperienced ones. And the difference in the performance of a dog can be influenced so greatly by being ahead of the psychological curve. Knowing by observing your dog, because you trained your dog every day, you know what they're like when they're under normal mental circumstances. You know what they're like when they're really extra racked up, and you know what they're like when they're about to lose their brain. And you should have a game plan for each one of those as to how to change your protocols. You might change, which side you heel your dog. You might just do a little change up. With how you handle them on your obedience, getting up and get in their head a little bit by changing what you do. Stay calm. It's very difficult to stay calm when you're all racked up, but you need to practice that too. A lot of people, they get excited and that their dog just plays off of that. And as soon as that dog recognizes that you feel out of control as a handler, they play off of that. And then it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. It just keeps on adding to itself.
Yep, 100%.
I think that 90% of handlers would benefit from just taking a breath. And like you get up there, take 1-2 deep breaths before you even start anything. And that's going to make your dog have enough time to okay, I got to focus on this guy because he's taking his time. So why aren't we continuing forward, when they kind of lapse in the moment and they focus on you?
They start to realize they have to wait for your cues. And all of a sudden, it's almost like hitting a reset button. The dog goes, wait, I'm going to lead you. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, what are we doing?
And
I have to follow your order. Yeah.
That's the whole beauty, do obedience to retrieve. They get nothing until they follow through. And all of that leads into our bucket work, line manners, all that kind of disciplines is all focused on, okay, the handler's going to give me what I want when I listen. Yeah. And essentially turns into them begging to listen to us.
Right. And to add to that, our puppy program starts with creating that set of ethics, those protocols immediately. So we teach the dog all of these general concepts really from the time we first hold them. And we show people how to continue that all through the dog's life. So by the time it comes time to run a hunt test, the dog has come upon these scenarios where they say, look, something's going to happen. I'm anticipating it. I'm excited. I cannot do that. I can't perform that activity until I check in with the handler. And I believe that because I've seen it 10,000 other ways, and I have never, ever been allowed to just get ahead of the game and make my own choices. I have to go through the handler. When I go through the handler, I get what I want, and it's all cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching, Pat Burns had he sends out the weekly or whatever he does, those little videos, and it was pretty funny because it was actually a video from The Crown where he was talking about that whole 5-foot circle. and which is like his big, his kind of big motto.
Yeah.
And he actually had a video of Lyle running a dog, and the dog, it was going to be a double poison bird. I think it was like the 3rd series or 4th series. And it was a double poison bird. And he was talking about how the dog was the email was something about, look for the signs to know if your dog's with you or not with you, something like that. Yeah. And this dog, like Lyle stepped back after the marks went off, and he stepped back like 3 feet to re-heal the dog. Yeah. And he had to say heel 7 times to get the dog to come back. And that was Pat's whole point was, if the dog, like what is exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
it's not pushing and pulling with you, and you've already lost.
You've already lost
control.
The control's already lost. And I was actually curious. I was like, well, how'd the dog do? So I texted the video to Clark, and I said, hey, Clark, how'd the dog do? He said, not good.
Oh, those are all pure indicators of what you're about to see. I experienced that this weekend with one of my one of my best dogs, and she's so sure of herself because her success rate on her own is so high. And you got to take those strong-willed and strong-minded dogs and humble them sometimes and constantly challenge them so that they are reliant on you to work together as a team to be successful, because she's so independent and so courageous. She can go out there and step on everything by herself most of the time, within reason. But yeah, I experienced some of that. You say heel, the dog comes back and then takes 2-3 steps forward right after. They're working you at that point.
Yeah, and I saw that a lot at Seasoned. So this is the first time I read in Seasoned in a long time. Yeah, and run and finish, like you see a lot of stuff, not great line manners, but when you go to Seasoned, you see a lot more of it. And you watch. I mean, there's a few people that, I think are, they're pros. And I just it was eye-opening just how rough the line manners were. Like these dogs were, they had to be 7 feet in front of them and re-healing and all that. And I was like,
that dog will never make it.
Nope.
No.
They have already made a problem.
I need to clarify something since we're on that never make it.
If you guys watch the Facebook or watch on Facebook, I posted a video that has been the most, I'll say, viral video I've ever posted, which I didn't expect. And, Dan, you should, what did you say in the video? Do you
Basically,
remember?
I was talking about a retired guy that has brought his dog to a hunt test too early. The dog is picking up bad habits. And I basically used the language like he's finito, he's done, his career has ended. And I had a lot of people comment, oh, that's BS. I can fix that dog. Well, look, we've fixed hundreds and hundreds of those dogs. Yes, they can be fixed, but most of the time they don't, because usually the retired guy has got a fixed budget. He can't go to a professional trainer. He doesn't want to send his dog to a professional trainer. And I've watched many, many, many of them where I've attempted to try to help people and they just don't want it. And they tank because of whether it's too big of an ego, they don't want to get help from a pro, but whatever. And they end up having an ended career. So I wasn't trying to say, guys, that a good pro can't take a dog that's developed bad habits and fix it. My point is if you do your foundation work properly, the likelihood of having bad habits that are not fixable occur, plus knowing when those bad habits are starting to happen and how to go back and train before you go to the next test. If you have those things, the foundation and then the knowledge of knowing, hey, I'm starting to see some of these weeds grow up in my garden, so to speak. When I'm at a test, my dog's starting to move a little bit, recognizing those little idiosyncrasies and nipping into the bud, stopping, testing that dog, taking it back, running it through a bunch of drills, exposing it to a bunch of hunt test environments where you take it to training days and stuff, but you have the appropriate training tools, etc. And you fix the problem and you see success after success after success before taking them back to the hunt test. I was suggesting by doing it properly, like I just indicated, you can avoid all those nasty things that happen. I've had so many people that I've observed that I've literally offered them free help because I saw the situation occurring and they wouldn't take it. They showed no interest. It was almost like their pride was too high. And
dogs,
of course, I'm not going to force it on them.
But dogs don't deserve that. And that's why we offer the free unsolicited help, because we don't like watching that.
No.
Obviously, the best trainers out there.
We know what the outcome's going to be.
The best trainers out there are the guys that use the least amount of pressure.
Yep.
And I'll say that 100 times over, because they're taking the steps, breaking everything up, teaching it slowly, and then not over testing, not testing too early, and not allowing those bad habits to creep up on people.
Yep.
And then not having to go back to training and use a collar or use a healing stick or whatever the method that they choose to fix their issue, when it all could have been preventable through a good, solid puppy foundation program and just enjoying the training process and waiting to test. Because testing that ribbon, that's the worst thing that ever happened to dogs, because it gets people's ego involved, and then that's what is eventually the downfall.
Everybody falls into it. Everybody falls into it once in a while.
Totally.
Take a dog to a test a little bit too early, and you get that. Trust me, the shillelagh of shame will be knocked on your head very quickly.
The what?
The shillelagh of shame, don't you know?
I've never heard that.
I just made that up.
Okay. I was like, is that like something like me?
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll tell you a story. I recently made one of the biggest mistakes I've made in a long time. I brought a little seasoned dog. I said, these are my last two hunt tests of the year. She's almost ready. She's a great dog, super talented. 99% of the season tests that I see she could do. Sure, she needs to go through about 5 more drills to really be up to par with what I would normally do. But considering the dog and circumstance and the fact that the owner really, really would like to have that ribbon, I broke my own rules. And you know what? I failed her. She did beautiful on on Saturdays, land and water, perfect. Sundays, water, started with water, perfect. Sunday, everything on Sunday's land test until the blind retrieve, perfect. Lined her up on the blind, beautiful line. Guess what? I did not have that dog doing cold blinds well enough and really unconditionally handling well enough. And that bird was placed in a tough little area in that kind of chopped up grass field that it was just not a natural place for a dog to go. And that little dog stopped probably 15 times on the whistle, and it cast it all over the place, sometimes the wrong way, sometimes the right way. But she just finally ran out of confidence. And I told myself when I left, I said, you just broke your own rules. And I called the owner. I said, look, your dog is awesome. You know, I tried to please you by bringing this dog and getting that pass, but it was a mistake. And I said, we entered in the next test. And I said, we're not going to test this dog for the rest of the year. She's too good. She didn't develop any bad habits yet, but if I keep doing it, it's going to cause issues. So yeah, we all fall into it once in a while.
Yep, absolutely. I can't remember, why am I blinking on his name that did I know you don't like this analogy, but I do think it's pretty good. Always eating at the edge of the donut type of thing. But if you get outside the learning zone for too long, only bad things happen. You want to be right on the edge of that. Man, why am I blinking on his name? Dennis? Is it Dennis? No, Dennis. Anyway, old field trialer, amateur, super good person. I can't remember his name. Well, I'll have to post it on Facebook. Voigt? Yeah. Is it Dennis Voigt?
I don't know. You said Dennis, and then
the donut, the donuts, the donut circle rule or something where.
Chris, you're making me hungry.
Well, I will say, I did not prepare well for this little trip, and I ended up staying at Tyler's last night.
Now you're gonna out me for just making bacon for breakfast.
So, it's not that. I was planning on. I always go to Casey's and get biscuits and gravy. That whenever we film, that's like my little routine. Well, Tyler woke up and I walked down at 5:15 or 5:50 or whatever, and I look and Tyler's sitting there like on probably on Snapchatting all the people hunting this morning.
Yeah, literally.
That's literally what he's doing. And I look over and he made 10 pieces of bacon. And I'm like, oh, cool.
There was more than that.
Okay, there was a lot of bacon. Well, it doesn't even matter. The quantity doesn't matter. That was
I'm saying before you saw the pile.
There's a lot of bacon.
Whoops.
And I walk over and I eat 3 pieces of bacon. We have some coffee, and I'm like, oh, this is it. this is what we're eating for breakfast is these 3 pieces of bacon.
Hey, if Chris ever comes to your place, just plan on you have to take care of him because
I give the guy Maker's Mark.
And here's another thing too. The worst is if he doesn't have his coffee. So now I make sure I make a pot before he gets there because
Tyler didn't ever have coffee.
It takes him a good 45 minutes to get revved up.
I got a Keurig just for Chris, and then now I drink coffee.
Okay, I'm really not that needy. It just happened to be this because I was planning on going to Casey. Dan, you can whatever, guys. Just trying to help you guys be famous here. Okay,
All right.
Crickets. All right, so I wanted to ask. We kind of covered a lot of this. I wanted to talk about maybe things that you guys saw at this hunt test or the hunt test throughout the year that you wish more amateurs wouldn't do when they're at the line. And maybe not the obvious ones that we've already talked about, which is the, steadiness and line management.
I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
I watched a lot of rip and send.
What is rip and send?
Oh, yeah.
Rip the bird out of their mouth and let them go.
Oh, yeah. I saw a lot of that too. And I haven't noticed it that much, but a lot of that. Okay, so slow down. What is rip and send now that we've coined this?
I just coined it
we need shirts.
It's funny.
Ripping and sending it.
It's not funny to watch, but it's like you look at it and you go, how could you even think of doing it like that?
Well, they're not thinking it probably.
Correct. They're not thinking because they don't have the control because they don't practice it and demand it.
Yep.
So rip and send, for those that don't catch the analogy or whatever you want to call it, is on these triples or whatever they're throwing, people basically rip the bird out of the dog's mouth when they come back with that go bird and just either let them go or send them super fast. Dog's not even sitting, looking the right direction, focused at all. And, talk about the 5-foot circle, right?
Yeah.
Everything that happens there is going to get extremely widened and heightened out in the field. If that dog's off 2 foot when they leave the line, that's 200 yards when you get out at a certain distance, but just people in general, like I said earlier, slow down, take a breath, focus your dog, demand the dog to sit and be focused before you send on the next bird. And if you just rip the bird out of their mouth and let them go, what's telling the dog that they have to take that line other than their natural desire to go get a bird?
Yeah, their natural ability to mark that bird and then go get that bird.
So let's talk about exactly what happens from the dog's perspective, right? So the properly trained dog comes back. He's lined up towards where the next mark is.
And it's established to sit.
Right? He sits down. He's been asked to sit. And if a good handler is going to actually wait till he settles in. He doesn't just sit, he just calms down, not chewing on the bird, literally just stabilizes his whole body. Then the handler reaches down, takes the bird, and then you have another destabilization that goes on. The dog gives you the bird. Sometimes they'll spit feathers out. They might do a bunch of other things. Then that handler will wait until the dog settles in. So now the dog settles in, starts to refocus back to where that bird is, and it may take a moment, and that dog might look the wrong way. And that's where the handler looks back out and looks back at the dog, looks out, acknowledges to himself, yes, that is the line, or no, that's not the line. And at that point, redirects, repoints the dog. And then in theory, then the dog focuses on the correct place. Now think about all the things I'm talking about that have gone on, right? And then we'll go back to what actually happened when Tyler was talking about it, right? So now the handlers confirm the dog's looking the correct way. Then he actually does a cue and confirms it, whether it's good or right there or whatever that guy says, confirms the line, and then sends the dog.
Yeah.
That's the right way. The other way, the dog is literally having the bird pulled out of its mouth. Its head's cocked off, not even looking back at the field where the bird is. The dog either takes off on its own or is sent with its head bent to the side, has to try to refocus as it begins to run, right? So basically it's fumbling along and then turning its head to focus. And we all know that's most likely not an optimal scenario and is not going to.
And it's about giving your dog the best chance of doing it.
I was
right.
just going to say giving them the opportunity to do it correctly. And we're not sitting here like necessarily bashing people that are doing this. I want people to be aware that they're not getting the discipline that they practice in training when they get nervous at a test, rush through stuff, and don't follow the protocols. Because, I don't know these people. They could be doing that in training properly. Not ripping the bird out of their mouth. And
doing it the way Dan just described.
Yep.
They could be doing that
they
training
could
with
be
their
doing
nerves.
that, but you have to train exactly like you run your test, and your test needs to be like you train.
Or even slower. I'd
probably go slower at a test than I do in training. Easily.
My first grand, I'll never forget. I ran Finley and I came off the line and Dan goes, "What was that?" And I was like, I don't know. She picked him up,
Sit, click, click, click. Beep, beep, beep. Boom, boom, boom. Winter. It was that fast.
It was Finley.
Yeah.
Finley back.
Yeah. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was totally oblivious to how fast I was going. I think you showed me a video. I think Tyler filmed it and I was like, "Holy cow, warp speed."
I'm going to stop filming you from now on.
Yeah. You're not allowed to film. Anytime
Speaking of video and filming, everybody that gets to the finished level, I know it's hard to do because you feel like you're putting a jinx on yourself, superstitious wise, but you should have somebody at least film you walking up to the line and running the dog, because just like in any, set of athletics, when the team watches the video, they're able to see. When the coach watches the videos, they're able to see things that they never even knew happened.
Oh, yeah, for
the
sure.
adrenaline's flowing. You don't remember it. I mean, I've had times where I go, I walk back and I say, this dog did this, that, and the other thing. And then my buddy goes, no, they didn't. And I go, oh, that's right. I forgot. I was so jacked up. I forgot that this dog screwed up that left-hand mark. Well, by watching the video, and, have your buddy do it just on your phone, so it can't be spread all over the place. Ha ha ha. But seriously, have them video it and just watch you and your dog. And then if you have a good group of training friends, review the video and make notes.
Yeah.
Right. The dog was ahead of me, beat me to the bucket by a couple feet. As I started blowing the call, I had no idea, but the dog started to hover, started to sit up,
or he moved,
took a step.
Notice.
Right.
Yeah.
Dog was chewing birds right before, as soon when it came back with the last bird, it recognized it was the last bird and started to mouth and chew or get sticky. Any of those things.
And dog almost took a bird out of the bucket. You
right.
didn't notice.
Or wow, I just realized that I completely screwed my dog up because I got hasty and I didn't line him up properly for that mark, or I didn't line him up properly for that blind. Another thing too, going along with what Tyler is talking about on blind retrieves. They blow the whistle.
And then cast.
The dog hasn't even sat all the way down, hasn't even looked for the handler yet, and the handler's, bleh!
Yeah.
Well, how's your dog supposed to take a cast if it's not even looking at you?
Yeah. There's a lot of that. Is there anything you want to add to rip and send, Tyler? Because I wanted to make a comment about something, but do you have anything else?
No.
So I had a question. Well, two, like one of my things was, do you have to say the dog's name technically for the second and third mark? Because I'm pretty positive. I watched two people not even say the dog's name. They just took the bird and the dog left. My guess, and I'm not positive, is that you don't. Really? The dog has to deliver the birds to hand.
They showcase their steadiness with the go bird.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I watched that. I was like, there's no, like, that person is not
once the
saying their
dog
name.
leaves you, it cannot come back.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't get a resend and finish.
People are going to be listening to this and go, okay, smart trainers, what do we do about the rip and send? If I got a dog that just, they know at the test, they're there.
Yeah. Before we do that, I wanted to ask you guys, I want to get into that though. Like what what do you guys have a routine on each mark? Like I've been thinking about my routine as we've been talking, so I'll do mine, and I'm curious if your guys is any different. The first thing, normally with an older dog, with a younger dog, I normally ask them, where's your mark on their way back? And I let them perhaps choose which bird they're getting second if it's a triple. But like with Winter or my older dogs, I've already decided what bird I'm getting. And so what I do is I step to the back, and I'll just say the mat, even though a finish test doesn't have a mat. I step to the back of the mat, and when the dog's coming back, I say, where's your mark? Right when they are right against my side, and I step towards the bird that I want them to go get, which is just a cheat to get their spine to be generally aligned with where that mark is.
Yeah, I would say I'm doing Same thing to an extent. So say I have a double-sided marking dog, right?
Yeah.
Let's explain that real quick.
I didn't do that.
So
I do
double-sided marking dog, if my mark is thrown from left to right, I will send the dog off on my right side. The mark is thrown from right to left, the dog will be on my left side. So say my second bird I want to pick up is a short right to left throw. I'm going to put my body lined up in the direction of that mark already. I'm going to show the dog with my hand what side I want them to recall to.
Yep. I didn't say that too.
And I'm going to start with whatever my cue is. Now I said it's a short bird. I'll go, where's your easy? Okay. Mm-hmm. So then I've already, like, and if it's an HRC test, I already said easy when that dog saw the bird.
Yeah.
If it's a master test, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't cue them when they're seeing the birds, can't talk to them, right? So where's your easy? Okay, the dog locks in it. I pick it up. They come back. I'm already shifted my body. They're already recalling to the other side for my long bird. Where's your way out? Right? So I'm showing them the different cues. And I'm just like putting a stamp on that bird. Okay, this bird is cued or stamped as easy. This bird is cued or stamped as way out. So it just separates those two birds in that dog's mind even bigger than it already should be. It's like, this is one thing and this is another. They are not the same. And
that's just pure repetition in training that leads to that.
So he's stamping it just for the people that are maybe not quite following it. I just wanted them to know, while Tyler's shooting the birds, again, if there's a really short bird, he's going to say easy while it's falling. If there's a long bird, he's going to say way out while it's falling. And then he's going to repeat that when he brings the dog, lines him up, he's going to repeat that. So the dog is getting two different types of identification of the bird. Well, actually three. Number one, which way you line them up. Which way you're lining their spine up proactively when they come back, which side they're on, relative to you, telling them which side of the gun that the bird's coming off, and then easy or way out to dictate the distance. So all of those things is what he was talking about, all happen before. He sends
in
the dog.
5 foot circle.
No, let's but throw in the other things. When do we let the dog choose? Are there situations where we let the dog choose? Which way and how do we do that? Versus, are there situations where, or is it always that we're going to dictate, we're going to tell them which mark to pick up next?
Are you asking the question?
I'm asking Tyler.
Okay.
I would say it definitely depends on the dog. That's on a dog to dog basis with me personally. I have Goldens, Chessies, strong field trial lineage dogs, half British, half American,
all at different
everything, at different levels of
education
and experience. And like, for example, Dutch, she tries to make every decision for herself. So what do? The opposite. I make every decision. You want that bird? We're going to get this
because that particular dog, if you don't stay ahead of her and show her you're the leader all the time,
she will run me over if I don't do that. Now, Brandy, another totally different kind of animal. I wouldn't even call them both like labs, right? This is one kind of lab. This is another kind of lab. They act so different. And, I'm going to let her pick. And if you let that dog make their decisions and everything happens in that situation like she expects it to, she will outmark every dog in the truck. Guaranteed. If something she doesn't expect to happens, completely fractured. But she can work her way through it. But it's just not the same.
Different personality.
100%. And that's how people are.
So
they're no different than people.
So going back to letting the dog choose, that can be tricky sometimes because now we've got the two-sided marking going on, right? And if we want to let the dog choose and there's a right-sided bird and a left-sided bird still remaining in the field and we're letting them choose, well, we've got to kind of put the dog on one side of us. So
sort of.
Most dogs are typically going to go outside.
Right.
If they can.
Yeah, so that's what they would normally choose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, when that happens, I kind of step back and I'm not very proactive at all by dictating left or right. And I kind of just stand there and let the dog choose which side is going to come onto me, which side is going to be relative to me. And then I look at the dog. I really, really look at the dog. Some dogs I might actually have to say sit, take the bird out of their mouth and let them just meld in and
figure out
kind
what
of
they're
really
doing.
choose.
Yeah.
And then once they choose, if I'm literally standing on the wrong side of the dog, I'll walk over without disturbing that dog. And, and we're talking about dogs that really either can't handle at that point in their education being directed or doing selection. They're good markers. We might be able to get away with selecting, but we feel to pass the test, we're much better off to just let the dog choose the one they're really focused on and go with it.
Yeah, I think how much selection work have you done in training really is going to dictate whether you're choosing a bird for a dog or not. And I like to ask the other pros at an HRC test, hey, how are you picking it up? And generally there's a theme that they've figured out by then, and I'll go with that. More than likely, I'll try to pick them up in that order. But if I have a dog that's young and they like, I want them to pick out that outside bird and they're like dead set on that middle bird, I'm not fighting them yet. I think that's
there's got to be a really, really, really big reason.
Yeah, you got to be able to identify the traps.
Right.
Yeah. So like long go birds, right? That's a trap a lot of times, especially in HRC. Where you're seated, the dog's sitting next to you, the gun goes off, people send right off the gun, and you're doing a mark that's past a short bird on a point with the wind blowing, crossing over that line to the long bird. Those are a perfect opportunity to use your disciplines that you've taught in training. Put the gun down, safe your gun, stand up, line your dog's spine at that bird, and take your time and get the most discipline out of your dog as possible. I remember that one test we ran. It was Joe Schimpf judged it. Was it at Nashville?
You talking a grand?
The grand water test where they had that right to left bird that was like down the shore. It was a pretty good watermark. But everyone that sent off with a gun to try and pick that bird off was toast.
They were switching.
That you were getting a switch every single time. And good luck picking that bird up if your dog switched.
Was the wind off the point?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
the dog basically, there's a big, long, scary, angle in, angle out, or at least a big angle out bird, and as the go bird, and they had to swim right past the point that had the middle bird had been thrown onto that point, and the wind was blowing right off that point.
Yeah, so all that.
Every dog that watched two birds fall on the right and middle side of this field, and then swung across, and they see this big bird come out to the left.
And this is the go bird they're screwing up?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there's so much suction to the right from these other two birds laying out here, and you have a big swim picture to the left. So a lot of dogs just didn't have the discipline because remember, which way is their spine pointing? You don't know.
Yeah.
Because that dog is looked and
so you guys were standing up and
let's add something to this too.
Yes.
It was the spring grand. Okay. And I think the Southern trainers were at a little bit of a disadvantage.
It was cold.
Yeah, their dogs were not used to that cold water, and it had been cold for 2 or 3 training days. So
the dogs did not want to get in even more than
they
normal.
were they were less excited to.
But
do
if
that
you didn't
more.
take the time to line your dogs, and that's what I was getting at. If you didn't take the time to line up your dog's spine, really like focus them in on that bird. If they beached early, it was physically impossible for them to dig the bird out because there was like a barrier of like a log pile and some other stuff.
Yeah, so they had to go outside of the mark, and
it was a great, well-placed bird.
That's cool.
Yep.
And if it took a savvy handler to pick that bird up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in that situation, I was thinking about one of the situations that happened this weekend where I could tell Winter was looking at the bird, but there was a little bit of a trap to one side versus the other. And even though I had taken the bird from her already, I had relined her up and I could see she was looking at the bird, and she was on my outside, my right side. And so I tapped with my right hand just to pull her off of it a little bit and then relined her back up. Basically, I just call that putting a little English on it. I don't know if that's really what it, if there's an actual term.
I know what you mean. You want to hit that bird from one side or the other.
I don't want her don't be on the right of that bird.
Yeah,
I want you to be on the left. And so I would just tap my right leg, which pulled her to her left just ever so slightly. And I said, good. And I let her refocus on the bird, but I was like, good, right there. And then I sent her.
Did it help?
Yeah, I mean, she did great.
She went to the bird.
But my point is
I've
that
screwed myself doing that.
you got to be careful.
Yes.
You can't do that with a young dog because they'll think something else like
Or an overly trained, really honest dog.
Yeah. So you got to be careful. You got to read your dog in that.
Animal.
But I do that a lot with Winter. I don't do that. I didn't do that at all when I was running Rex. Like, you better just hope there ain't no micromanaging that.
One of the things I struggled with Widow when she was like 2.5 to 3, she would just run like 2 straight and not play the wind at all sometimes. Yeah. And I tried to start doing that, I want her to hit the bird on the left, not the right. If you go right, they're going to run past and she's just going to truck out there. And when I started doing some of that, she's like, oh, you're pulling me off. Okay. Yeah. And then she would lose focus, and if you don't practice it enough, you can't use it. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a great point. I still stand like on that situation where I'm working on that in training. I'll shuck the gun. I'll stand up. I'll realign. I'll add a little bit of English in. I'll make sure she knows. And then she has success going to where that bird is that she that she knows where it is. But I'm just working on slightly influencing. So how to train for all of this stuff is do it on singles, right? Yeah. You shoot the gun, you stand up, you put the gun on safe, you put it in the rack, you take your time, take a breath, line your dog's spine up, and then send the dog.
So I'm going to make a suggestion to go along with that for people I'm going to make it a suggestion for people that have not really done this with their dogs. Do that as what we call a complete visual aid mark. Yeah. And do it as a short, easy mark. So don't go try to do this first time with some really
yard.
Yeah. You're literally, because if your dog is not used to you doing this, when you stand up, inevitably they're going to have every reason to start breaking their focus. So if you do it as a bird that's right out in front of you, that they can actually see sitting there, it's the most simplified. Anytime you start something new, always try to make it impossible for your dog to fail the first time. Yeah. And then once your dog gets used to that protocol, then start extending the distance of the mark. And the how visible it is. So
I want to switch topics here really quick about building memory, because like I'm with Autumn, I'm starting to do more complex multiples, and I'm trying to remember what ways am I doing that? Like have I done that? And so I wanted to just be reminded. So can you share what is your process to building to being like a really confident multiple marking dog?
Well, I'll start
4 minutes.
I'll start with the real quick beginnings of how I do it. And then I think Tyler will probably,
kind of a joke,
Tyler will probably add some more complexity to it with some more, with different types of combinations of marks.
Yeah. But a straight up double.
With any dog, it's not in the multiple itself where they learn memory. It's through what I call fake memory bird singles. Everybody's got different ways, but literally all it is throwing a single and finding a way of momentarily distracting your dog, and then asking them to refocus, confirming the line, confirming to the dog that you've confirmed the line, and then sending them. So I'll give you a few examples.
Yeah, we'll start from the simplest to the more complex.
At the most basic level, right? Yep. You an extended wait. So you throw a simple mark, you sit there, your dog's already understands steadiness, it's sitting there, and you just wait until they look away for a second, and then you just say, where's your mark? Wait till they look and send them. And so literally all it is you've waited long enough where your dog just clicks their eye. Maybe they look at the gun, maybe they look for another mark, whatever it is, and then you let them look back at it. You say good or right there or whatever you say to confirm, and then you send them. Another way that we can break that focus momentarily is through literally, I call them peekaboo marks. You literally throw the mark. I'll put my hand over the dog's eyes. After I let them watch it, put my hand over their eyes, take my hand back off. Where's your mark? Send them. So right away, that dog is learning how to have their focus broken. Now, we also do something called bird in mouth marks. Yep. They're singles. Throw a mark, send the dog comes back, point him at the next mark, leave the bird in the dog's mouth, throw the next mark. Now, this is where the memory comes in. You might say, well, what memory? You're doing singles. When you remove the bird from the dog's mouth, depending on the dog, sometimes it's a big, giant break in focus where the dog turns their head and spits the feathers out. And
rip and send.
Okay.
That's how you fix the rip and send.
That's exactly how you fix the rip and send.
We forgot to go there.
Right. Yeah. But you remove the bird, look at your dog, take a breath. You'll see them refocus on the mark. Where's your mark? let them focus. Now you might say, what happens if I take the bird and my dog's looking all over the place? Just have the bird boy throw another mark.
Yeah.
Pause for a second.
But you can't do that, Dan.
Say, where's
you can't
your
throw
mark?
another mark.
Right? Okay. I just a couple
think
more.
you're
I know
funny.
I only have a little more, but it's so fun, right? Another one is literally have the person throw a mark, stand up, walk the dog off the line, come back, throw a mark, stand up, put your gun down. Any pause like that, any break in the activity, and it causes the dog to have to learn to refocus. And guess what? Refocusing means memory, right? So those are the real basic ones. And the beauty of the bird and mouth is you've already got another mark in there, right? There's already multiple marks being thrown for the field, right? Because you threw one, dog comes back with one, now a different mark's coming out. And if you do those and you always have 3 to 4 marks in the field every time you go out, your dog's going to learn, hey, there's always 3 or 4 marks. I'm always being pointed in 3 or 4 different directions. So all of that's possible. So by the time you actually start doing the double, it's amazing how the dog will just kind of automatically believe and understand that there's another mark. So the bird and mouth mark, for people that don't really know that much about teaching memory birds, if you just do tons of bird and mouth marks, it's kind of a problem that cures itself.
Yeah. Clark, that's what Clark's favorite thing to do is when teaching memories. He does bird and mouth, bird and mouth, bird and mouth. There's 2 more that I can think of that you can do after those. But do you want to add anything else, Tyler? That you do
Once you get past like the basic introduction point of what he talked about, I like to walk off the line and walk back.
Mm-hmm.
So the dog sees the bird come out. I walk away off the line. Depending on the difficulty I want, I've gone as far as putting the dog back in the truck, getting him back out, and then taking him over there and sending him on the bird. That's an advanced dog.
Yeah.
A dog that's new to this, I'm going to try to walk them off the line without using a bunch of pressure, right? I'm not going to heel burn
because that's
dog
not the
off
primary
line.
objective.
No, I have one objective, and it's marking, right? So if I need to grab that dog and like walk them with me and be like, heel, and like lead them away from the line and then come back up there. I can throw another short bird by hand right here by myself, like a diversion bird distance, right? Let them pick that up and then reline them and cue them on that memory bird. Those are other just like a step above the basic teaching parts of that.
I still love the just spin the dog around one time. Mm-hmm. Like that's after I've done a bunch of bird and mouth, I love that one because it gets a lot of the same things that you get with the walking off and coming back. And I like it because you get to practice relining up for a mark. Mm-hmm. Like that, and that's something that you showed me, and I love that one.
So the other thing that I didn't think about that's just too good not to mention is the heel back mark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And
that's
you can
even
do
simpler.
it. You can do it without the bird in the mouth or with the bird in the mouth.
Yep.
And that's literally there. Let's do the simple one. There's no bird in the dog's mouth. You signal for a single. Make sure your dog's steady. That's all kosher. You silently creep backwards 2 or 3 steps while the dog's still looking at the bird. You say heel. You use attrition. Okay. This is not about burning your dog at this point. You use attrition. If you have to use a short leash, even to just get that dog to come back, point is you don't send them on that mark until they heel back to where you are and focus on the bird and sit, right? Yeah. You can use your little leash to do that. Remember, with all of these methods, if you can get the dog to do it, even if you have to use a little help with the leash, they're learning they didn't get that mark until they got back into that position. So if you do it enough, your dog's going to eventually go, you know what? I'm not getting sent on that bird until I go here. So don't get caught into because they don't want to do it the first time to get on that collar. You'll blow the whole thing apart.
Yep.
But heel them back, and it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Number one, if you have a dog that's really hot, really high horsepower dog, you're practicing that dog wanting to be ahead of you and knowing it's got to come all the way back to where you are to be sent, and plus you're getting the memory out of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. Like if I say heel, Winter spins around so fast around me because she's like, the faster I get around this guy, the faster I go get that bird.
Yep.
And so like that heel back thing is the same thing.
She also doesn't want to break the focus. So she wants to
go get that
back and realign herself so she doesn't miss that, because that dog knows darn well that if she misses it, she's not in good shape. She needs to really be focused to get that bird, and you throw tough birds. You know, it's a good thing. You're creating all these different forces pushing the dog into really focusing their mind.
Yeah.
Another one that I wanted to, are you guys doing that?
No, yeah. This is the last point, and then we got to wrap this up. So
I like to throw a lot of retiring en route singles. And we'll explain what that means.
We're talking about HRC here. I'm just kidding.
Well, it teaches them how to do it.
Yep. So we got to break this down.
Yeah.
Right. So do you want to explain what a retired gun is?
Well, a retired gun is when there's an exposed person, whether they're in white or not, they're exposed, they throw the bird, and then in some form or fashion, they disappear from the dog's visual, from being a visual aid for the dog to mark off of. It's probably the simplest way.
So that could be behind a winger hide, even though that's not necessarily fully retired because the dog understands what a hide is and associates it. It's still a form of retiring, right? You know, the
picture changes.
I'll retire behind trees, bushes, all that kind of stuff.
I've done a couple ghillie blankets at field trials.
Yeah, point is, guy throws the bird and then hides afterwards.
Okay, right? Dan's like, come on, guys, let's get through this.
But I think sometimes people kind of get lost in all the language. It's like one of the guys throws a bird and then literally after the bird hits the ground, he goes and hides somewhere. Yeah. So when the dog comes back and refocuses on that mark, it's a completely different picture.
So you can teach it as a single where they retire en route. So the dog literally watches the guy run away and hide.
Yeah.
Right? So then the dog obviously breaks their focus on the way out to the bird and they go, oh, I can't just mark off of this gun anymore.
Yeah.
I got to go dig this out on my own.
Yep.
So you teach that enough in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But then you go to your fake memory birds as singles, but the guy retires, right?
Yeah.
So you have your standout gunner in the field. He shoots or you shoot and he throws the bird, right? You walk off of the line, your gunner retires. You walk the dog back up there and they go, oh.
Yeah. What just changed?
I have nothing to look at now. I probably should have remembered where that bird was.
Yeah.
You know, and then that dog, it's up to them to go dig that bird out.
Yeah.
If they make an infraction based on your situation, obviously, I mean, whatever someone's protocol is different, obviously, whether they handle or have gunner help or whatever it may be. But that's been one of the best things that I've incorporated is just doing a lot of singles with either retiring the gun en route or walking off the line, coming back and be like, all right, where's your bird? The picture has changed. It's on them to focus on the bird, not running off of the right-hand side of the hide at 200 yards. No, I'm going to run to this little piece of grass that I saw flicker when the duck hit the ground.
Kind of where did that inspiration come from? Where did you see that done recently that you really just dove into it? Yeah,
so I had watched a few field trialers that I had trained with do it, and then I went and trained with Charlie Hines, and I bet you a large percentage of his singles were like that. And when that bird hits the ground, his gunner is hitting the deck, throwing a ghillie blanket over him. I mean, they're out of sight immediately, and it's on that dog to go pick the bird up. Don't worry about the gunner. Hold the line that you were just shown and go dig the bird out. You know, and it's putting a lot of responsibility on that dog. And we need to, you know, explain this really well to people. That is for a dog that already knows how to mark at a pretty darn good level.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. When you're changing the picture like that, and you start this too much or with too much distance, too early, too much cover and factors, you're going to have a serious problem. But, you even retire a short mark. I mean, that's the hardest bird to pick up, in my opinion, is a short retired. Getting a dog to check down, especially if they've already picked up a long bird or whatever it may be in the field. But when you're teaching all these different marks as retiring en route, it's teaching the dog, like, just watch the bird. Take that line, hold your discipline line, pick the bird up. You're burning memory all at the same time, or you're burning it into them all at the same time because it's making it their responsibility to get out there. They can't play off of a bunch of stuff in the field.
So how have you been helping the dogs if they need help?
It's a good question. Okay.
Because if perhaps you retired 10 feet, 15 feet behind something, what are you doing?
So there's a lot of factors involved, obviously. So say I have a long bird into the wind. So I have a crosswind. Okay.
What the frick? Oh. For those that are watching, I thought that I had not hit record on the camera, but the screen was backwards. So sorry.
There's a long bird out here. Okay. There's a crosswind from right to left. We're going to throw that bird to the right because I want my dog to challenge the wind. Okay.
Yeah.
So say I have a big bush out there that I could put my gunner behind. They're going to walk out from behind that bush, shoot and throw into the wind. I'll send my dog. So this is a retired en route single. Okay. When the bird hits the ground and I release my dog, I'll tell the gunner to retire. You'll watch the dog see the gun, bird hits the ground, you send him. The gunner hides, right? So what are most dogs going to do in that situation? They're going to fade with the wind, right? Yeah. The untrained dog. You have two options. You either help or you handle, right? If you're even trying this situation, you should be able to handle your dog, right? They should be through all handling exercises and your foundations. If they are strong enough and you are getting a 75% success rate or higher, you will not have a problem from handling your dog, right? Their success rate needs to be that high. But stop the dog, handle him to the right side of the gun, right? You repeat, okay? Throw the long bird into the wind again, retire as the dog is sent. They make the same mistake. Okay. Now we have options. Are we going to sit here and do the same thing over and over until the dog just falls on their face and eventually gets a bunch of pressure and doesn't want to keep going? No, you have to teach it. So you have the option to have that gunner pop out again. Reappear and get them confident on that line again. Do you necessarily have to throw another bird? No. It might just be enough to remind the dog what side of the hide they're supposed to be on or where that line to the bird is. And when you see the dog correct itself, you can make the gunner disappear again.
Yeah. The answer is have a good radio.
Great radio and a reactive bird thrower.
Yeah. And a bird thrower that understands the objective of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. But the objective here is teaching discipline on marks.
Yeah.
And also ingraining memory in the dog all at the same time. And it's a lot, you know. Sounds like you just got a guy in a white coat out there shooting a gun and throwing a duck, and it's so much more than that.
And the most dangerous part of this whole thing is that if you exceed the dog's, your handling and control over the dog's natural instinctive marking, you may start to create a robot who no longer marks, but just looks out at a picture and tries to run to one side of the gun. And so that's where the magic happens, or the proper decision, the balancing act. But really it's knowing when it's okay to start these drills.
Yeah.
You know, and the one thing I was going to interject is before you ever do this, you got to have two things. You got to be able to, in moderate cover, you have to be able to throw about any mark that you can throw at the distances that you will expect to run your dog, and have them pinning birds, running straight. You know, without a lot of factors, but running perfectly straight.
And establishing a hunt, staying in the area, and then finding the bird on their own.
Right. So that you have to have a real marking dog that's really marking. So I would say the dog has to understand all the different angles that can be thrown, angle in, straight in, angle out, and literally be marking the bird. And also the dog has to be a good handling dog that can handle with distractions and
factors.
Factors. So
you're cast away from pressure.
You know, to be clear, you have to be able to run really good blinds with your dog, and the dog has to be able to handle well.
Yeah. The one tip that I will say to people that are doing like a 10-step retired, like Ontario Joe, whatever Lardy calls them, is that if you when I try to do these, I try to be throwing ducks that day so that the success level is higher generally than throwing like an ATB. But my bird thrower always has an ATB, because you can chuck that thing way further than you can a duck. And so when he's retired and I say, I need help right now, that bird is coming out and it can make the fall area, because it's smaller and easier to throw, and he can do that. So
he can throw it while still retired.
Yeah.
And that is another thing that I was working
it
my
depends.
way to.
Yeah, you can stay retired.
You could stay retired and throw a bird in route. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to have my gunner standing out and throwing another bird in route. That's how you get a dog that sucks to the gun.
Yep.
If you're going to help while the dog is en route to the mark and has not established a hunt, that bird should come out when they don't see the gunner, I think.
Yeah.
If possible.
Yeah. I mean, when they're younger, that's not exactly the case, but we're talking about older dogs here.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, we've went for a long time. That was a really fun little, diversion to retired guns. That was fun. And using it in a hunt test scenario, like, so all the things that we're talking about is, yes, we do run some field trials, but we're doing this with our dogs that are getting run finished in the grand, because it just, a better marking dog is a better dog for any game you're going to play, hands down, period. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure I kind of concluded with that kind of as a good little reminder of, we're all training the same way, just to play different games. All right. I want to thank our sponsors, the Hunt Test Guide and Retriever Foundations. If you guys are looking for a way to support the podcast, check out retrieverfoundations.com and see if the Puppy Course or the Amateur's Guide to Hunt Test Success. I can't talk. The Amateur's Guide to Hunt Test. Okay. Just go to the website and click on the links, and then you'll find the course that I can't say right now. And then also thank you to Purina Pro Plan for sponsoring this and every podcast. So Tyler, Dan, thanks for hanging out. Maybe we'll go out and actually shoot at some doves instead of Tyler just shooting all the doves.
No, I will.
No, we have to tie Tyler up.
We're going to just lock him in the cabin. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. It was fun. And as always, have fun out there, everyone. See ya.